Hello students, today we're going to be writing equations from tables. Please don't forget to take notes as you go and complete the survey that follows the video. So there's a couple things that we can do from tables. We can graph a linear equation like we did in our last video, or we can write a linear equation as we're going to do in this video. So before we get into that, let's describe the type of form we're going to do. It's y equals mx plus b. That's called the slope-intercept form of a line. The m represents something called the slope. We can also know it in terms of x's and y's. Our slope is a ratio that represents a comparison between the change in y over the change in x. From a graph, some of you might be familiar with the terms of rise over run. We try to find how far we rise up or down and how far we run left to right to find our slope. Then the b is the other value we need. This is our y-intercept. In these problems, we are identifying where the x value is equal to 0, and the y value is our y-intercept. This is where our line will cross the y-axis. So the process that we take is this. First, always check to make sure your x values are in ascending order from top to bottom of the chart that's created. That is very important that it's in ascending order in order for us to make sure we are correctly creating our equation. From there, you're going to identify the change in the y values. This is the top number in our slope ratio, or our m. Then from there, you're going to identify the x values. This is the bottom number in our slope ratios of m. So again, the change in y over the change in x. Afterwards, you're going to find the y value where x is equal to 0. Again, this is our y-intercept on our graph where the line crosses the y-axis. Once we identify our slope and our y-intercept, we will then create the equation by substituting an m and b in our y equals mx plus b. So let's take a look at an example. First, what we're going to do is make sure that our x values are in ascending order. So we can see from -1 to 0 to 1 to 2 to 3, we know that it's increasing. So now we have to find out, well, how is it increasing? To go from -1 to 0, 0 to 1, 1 to 2, you can see in every case we're increasing by 1. Then we're going to look at our y values. From 1 to 6, we're increasing by 5. From 6 to 11, we're increasing by 5. And this continues. We're always increasing by 5. So when we're identifying our slope, again, it's always the change in y, so top number is 5, over the change in x, so in this problem is 1. Now we need to identify our y-intercept. But when we do that, we need to focus on where is x equal to 0, what's the y value. So in this problem, where x is equal to 0, the y value is 6, so that means our y-intercept is 6. Now that I've identified my slope and my y-intercept, we can now write it as an equation. It's always y equals, now 5 over 1 you can write as 5 over 1, or it can simplify down to 5. So it's mx, so this one will be 5x, and then plus 6. And then this problem is now completed. So our answer here from this table is y equals 5x plus 6. Let's do another example. So once again, I just wanted to check to make sure my x's are in ascending order. The way I can kind of tell that is to go from -6 to -3, I am adding 3. What I want to look for is that my x values are always positive. So as I'm going, or my change is always positive. So as I can see, I'm always increasing by 3. Now looking at my y values. To go from 1 to -1, I'm going down, and specifically, I'm going down by 2. If I repeat that process, I see that every single time, as I'm going from top to bottom, I'm always decreasing by 2. So when I'm creating my equation, or my slope, it's the change in y, so -2, over the change in x, which is a positive 3. Now I need to identify my y-intercept. Once again, I always look for where is x equal to 0. I identify the y value. So in this problem, it's -3. Again, always keep in mind I'm looking for where is x equal to 0, not y. So now that I have my slope and my y-intercept, it will be y equals, my slope is -2 over 3x minus 3. And this would be the equation that this chart represents. Let's look at a special case here. So my x values, we are increasing by 1 every time. So we know that our x's are an ascending value. But let's identify what's going on right here. We have seen this before. When we graphed these in the past, or in the last couple days or last week, we saw the y equal to 2 being repeated over and over again is a special case. When we have that happening in our y values, we know that our equation just has to be y is equal to 2. But technically, our slope would be 0 over 1, which is just 0, so you can also do it that way. But however, if you're finding that your repeated y values are the same number over and over again, you can just identify the equation as y is equal to 2. The same thing can happen for our x values. If you are noticing here, our x values are all -3. Therefore, our equation has to be x is equal to -3, just like we saw in some of the past videos. If you have any questions, either put them in the survey or bring them to class tomorrow. Please make sure you complete the survey that follows the video. See you tomorrow.